And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Well, good evening, and welcome once again to another edition, Lesson Your Soul broadcast. Indeed, we are grateful to be streaming into your souls tonight, wherever you may be, worldwide, in this country, in this state, in this city. Just truly grateful for once again the opportunity to sow Rhema into your life. Hope it's really making a difference. I want to remind you again tonight, as always, the objective of this ministry is to stretch your mind like a rubber band. Rubber band can't reach its fullest capacity unless it's stretched. Your mind cannot either. The difference in this ministry at this point in time is we're teaching you how to relate to God. Relationship is the key. The problem that presents literally is the fact we all have done such a bad job of in relationships or in relating, and because we have sought opportunities out here rather than in here. Relationships really move from in here out rather than out in. So once again, I just have the privilege, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share with you again tonight this rhema that God has truly placed in my spirit. Let me begin by reading a passage of scripture with you that I think is relevant for our journey tonight and from now on, actually. Ephesians chapter 5, verses 13 and 14. These words are recorded, written by the Apostle Paul to the church at Ephesus. But all things become visible when they are exposed by the light of God's precepts. For it is light that makes everything visible. Once the light comes on, there's nothing hidden any longer. Rest of these verses. For this reason, he says, awake, sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ will shine as dawn upon you and give you light. From 1 Samuel chapter 1, verses 27 and 28, these words are recorded also. Hannah speaking, for this child I prayed, and the Lord has granted me my request, which I asked of him. Therefore, I have also dedicated him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he is dedicated to the Lord. And they worshiped the Lord there, that is, in the Shiloh. What I want to do is return to the subject that we began on this past Sunday, under the heading of the topic of a sanctified mother. Tonight, I want to broaden your thinking, to deepen your thinking, and use as a thought sanctification in sovereignty. Remember, everything is sovereign. Nothing happens by accident, but by divine providence. God does what he pleases, when he pleases, the way he pleases, at the time he pleases. And there's nothing anyone or anything can be done about it. The word sanctification means set apart. And that is where we want to go tonight, simply because I want you to see yourself, all of us, as Hannah. Every person is Hannah tonight. And I want to just express deeply how much I appreciate the service from this past Sunday. Our membership showed up in great numbers. The leadership was on point. Worship was great. Felt at times, though, it might have been too long because we were willing to set through the worship experience the word and with mask on. But just so grateful. So I just felt a little rush. I wanted to go back and unveil some things that I did not have an opportunity to unveil under the 5-word alliteration that I'm calling it of sanctification. I want to sanctify you. I want all of us to be Hannah tonight. Looking at Hannah first, as mentioned Sunday, just rehashing, reviewing, and also deepening our understanding, Hannah's sorrow. All of us have experienced sorrow. Now, the ideal situation, honestly, as mentioned previously, for every Jewish wife was to be head of the home. But remember, Hannah had a childless family initially. Yes. She had a devout husband who loved her. And yes, he bestowed richer gifts upon her than he did upon Peninnah, his other wife. But again, Hannah was childless. Even Elkanah tried to comfort her, yearning hard with such comforting words as, "What's the matter, Hannah?" Elkanah would exclaim, why aren't you eating? Why make such a fuss over having no children? Isn't having me better than having 10 sons? Hannah, however, beloved, longed for a son of her own. As the years passed, her agony became more intense, and her barrenness was a greater burden because of the jealousy and the heartlessness of her rival, Peninnah, who, remember, frequently gave her a hard time for being childish. But true to her name, Hannah's name means gracious and favored. Hannah just hung in there. She manifested the grace of self-control amid the cruelty of her rival. Jealousy did take possession of Peninnah, but not Hannah. Although the Lord had shut up Hannah's womb, her heart was still open to God. Hannah was never found guilty of any unwomanly, retaliatory conduct. Whenever her husband tried to comfort her heart, this provoked Peninnah to the fresh insults and taunting. So Elkanah looked for Hannah, love for Hannah, added even more insulting fuel to the fire of contempt in Peninnah's heart. It appeared, I believe, in the form of pure, unadulterated hatred for Hannah. Now to focus on the real essence of Sunday's message, and even now, shifting you toward a relationship with God. Her prayer, the prayer for supplication, is found in 1 Samuel chapter 1, verses 9 through 18. Tonight, I'm going to share these verses with you. So sit back and listen and enjoy our time together. Listen. Hannah got up. Eli the priest was sitting on his seat beside the doorpost of the temple tabernacle of the Lord. Hannah was greatly distressed, and she prayed to the Lord and wept in anguish. She made a vow, saying, "O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction, suffering of your maidservant, and remember, and not forget your maidservant, but will give your maidservant a son, then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life. A razor shall never touch his head." Now it happened, as she continued praying before the Lord, that Eli was watching her mouth. Watch this. Hannah was speaking in her heart mind. Only her lips were moving and her voice was not heard. So Eli thought she was drunk. Eli said to her, How long would you make yourself drunk? Get rid of your wine. But Hannah answered, no, my Lord, I am a woman with a despairing spirit. I have not been drinking wine or any intoxicating drink, but I have poured out my soul before the Lord. Do not regard your maidservant as a wicked and worthless woman, for I have spoken until now out of my great answered and say, and concern and bitter provocation. Eli answered and said, go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant your petition that you have asked of him. Hannah said, let your maidservant find grace and favor in your sight. So the woman went on her way and ate, and her face was no longer sad. So once again, to Hannah's credit, all of us are Hannah tonight now. She was a praying wife. I would say out of necessity, childless, but not prayerless. She still believed in God and found her painful refuge in prayer. In the prayer here, she asked that the Creator would raise her up to enter the sacred empire of motherhood. She asked God to literally interfere with the laws of nature on her behalf. Hannah vows that if God would give her a son, she would give that son absolutely back to him for his use. She literally bargained with God. Yes, and she kept the bargain by taking her particular sorrow to God. Her petition was not that Peninnah's joy would be less, but that God might take away the cause of her personal anguish. And totally giving herself to prayer and in the presence of God, Hannah's sorrow released its hold on her. She could not find, even in God's house at Shiloh, the sympathy that she desperately needed. I think it essentially necessary here and now for us to think about a specific feature of her heartfelt supplication. Supplication, by the way, means to ask humbly and earnestly of God. She asked God. Yes, she did. But there was no external speech heard. Her lips moved, but there was no sound. The prayer was absolutely internal. And as she spoke within herself, she created the impression that she was drunk with wine. She had learned that the disciples' native breath is unuttered, is unexpressed in the natural, conventional sense of praying. This beloved, is an absolute model of just how the Spirit prays within you and through you, as unveiled by the Apostle Paul. Listen to Paul summarize where Hannah was. Romans chapter 8, verses 26 and 27. Likewise, the Spirit helps us in our weaknesses, for we do not know what to pray for as we ought, but the Spirit itself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. Too deep for words. Too deep for words. He who searches the hearts knows what the mind of the Spirit is, because he intercedes for the saints according to the will of God. Now, the effect here is the appearance of intoxication, actually spiritual intoxication. Well, Paul once again writes in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 18, do not be drunk with wine, for that is reckless living, but be filled with the Spirit. what we see before us here is the fact that while Hannah never prayed this prayer aloud, she breathed a wish within her soul and sent it unspoken right to the very throne room of God within her. This is really unique for the age of the judges. It is really the ancients' way of praying, not in words, but as a feeling, as a ripe flower in an almost sterile field. This then is the feeling of the prayer answered. You feel it. And the prayer, by feeling it, is answered. She felt her prayer within her soul. Her prayer being a feeling. She felt that what she was praying was already heard. You do not need words when you are in the place of already having it. What you need to finalize the request is gratitude, giving thanks for what you feel before the feeling becomes a manifestation. I think the old prophet, the old priest, Eli, did not mean to be unkind when he saw Hannah's lips moving and her whole being caught up in the fervor of her prayer-filled supplication, and yet heard no words being expressed. But Eli felt somewhat that Hannah appeared drunk and unleashed on her for coming into God's house in such an intoxicated state. Eli's haste, however, Eli's ill-founded conclusions had to add more gall to the sorrow already felt in Hannah's heart. So Hannah decided to defend her appearance by protesting, by declaring her innocence to Eli and telling him that she had never taken strong drink. And then she poured out her soul to Eli, who, discerning that her desire for a child was so intense, so sacrificial, that he assured her that her inarticulate prayer, yes, it had been heard. Cheer up, Eli declares. May the Lord of Israel grant you your petition, whatever it is. 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 17. Hannah, oh, thank you, sir. Then she went back and began to eat again, and she was no longer sad. 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 18. She went to her home content, for she believed. She was no longer heart hungry, but joyous, believing that God had granted her wish. And her yearning for a child finally arrived in the person of her firstborn Samuel, whose name means asked of the Lord. There it is, her song. Listen to her song of thanksgiving as she marks herself as a poetess, as a prophetess of no mean measure. Hannah's prayer became a song. Oops, watch. You don't say words when you're allowing the Spirit to intercede for you with groanings that cannot be uttered. But out of that fervent praying, with no words. Emerges a song you can sing. Your prayer becomes a melody from the very depths of your heart, knowing in your heart now that God has already, through your feeling, granted your request. She says, my heart rejoices in the Lord. My horn is exalted in the Lord. My mouth is bold against my enemies because I rejoice in your salvation. There is none holy as the Lord, for there is none besides you, and there is no rock like our God. Do not multiply proud speech, nor let arrogance come out of your mouth, for the Lord is the God of knowledge, and by him actions are examined. Bows of the mighty are broken, but those who stumbled are girded with strength. Those that were full have hired out themselves for bread, and those that were hungry ceased to hunger. 1 Samuel chapter 2, verses 1 through 5a. So, with her desire fulfilled, she sings this song with much delight, as has been heard down through the ages. What a fitting tribute to the power and presence of God in feeling to feeling pray. Hannah validates her feeling to feeling requests in song. For that's a sacrifice. I would be amiss if I would not address Hannah's sacrifice. Yes, she wanted a son. She wanted a child. She wanted children. But she recognized that if this was going to happen, it would require her to make the sacrifice of that which she had asked for, a child. That she immediately offered back to God if God would give her a child. And she vowed a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thy handmaid, but wilt give unto thy handmaid a man child. She was specific. Then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 11. So, quickly, what is a vow? The Hebrew word for vowed, first of all, the vowed, the first part of the verse, here in this verse is a verb, norda, used 31 times. It means to vow a vow. Wow, vow a vow, double. So this is a triple vow situation. The number 3 representing the number for the resurrection. The second vow here is a noun, norda, used 60 times and means a votive vow, which is to say that it was offered up or performed in full fulfillment of a vow or in gratitude or devotion given to God. So, a vow is a solemn pledge or promise that binds a person to perform a specific act or to behave in a certain manner. Beloved, all vows are made to God as a promise and expectation of his favor, or in thanksgiving for his blessings. And you don't violate a vow. You don't break a vow. You do that, you curse yourself. Malachi 1:14a says, but cursed be the deceiver who has in his flock a male and vows and yet sacrifices to the Lord what is blemished. God cannot bless. A lie. Oh no. Thou shalt not lie. Blemished. No. A vow. You make a vow. You have got, as Hannah, you got to follow through on that vow. So you can see that when Hannah, when Hannah made her vow, it was something she knew she could not break and still be blessed. She had to give Samuel to God because she vowed she would give this child back to God. So she stayed at home until the baby was weaned. And though he was still so small, they took him to the tabernacle in Shiloh, along with a 3-year-old bull for the sacrifice, and a bushel of flour and some wine. After the sacrifice, they took the child to Eli. Listen to Hannah's conversation with him. Sir, do you remember me? Hannah asked him. I am the woman who stood here that time praying to the Lord. I asked him to give me this child, and he has given me my request. And now I'm giving him to the Lord for as long as he lives. So she left him there at the tabernacle for the Lord to use. Yeah, I now say of Hannah, that God had set her apart as a mother. May I say of you, beloved, tonight, God has set you apart as well. Oh, yeah. There comes a time in your life. Comes a time in your life when sanctification is the essence of your existence. I'm sure that year started off being a typical year for Hannah, no different than any other, except God was getting ready to set her apart. That is what sovereignty is all about. Joseph went through that. All of us go through that. You got to go through something that has been ordained by God in order to have a relationship with Him. It costs you everything. But then comes your year, as with Hannah, your year of being set apart. Yeah. There it is. She went through all the humiliation of Peninnah. Yes, she was laughed at. Yes, she was given a hard time. Now, though, it was time for God to get the glory from Hannah's life. Beloved, there comes a time in all of our lives, that God positions us so He can get glory. If you please, I'll call it the Hannah moment. Enough tears, enough anguish, enough being laughed at, enough being made fun of. It's your time. It's your time to give birth to a new day in your life. Your day of sanctification has come. Hannah was in Shiloh, but while praying, she had become inwardly Shiloh. Realize, no matter what you're going through right now, God has positioned you for such a time as this. Your day, my day, all of our days of sanctification. He sets us apart, going through what we go through. Will it make us better or bitter? God has set our mothers apart to give birth to us. And in the birthing of us, we became sanctified beings from the womb. The problem arises, though, when there is a misunderstanding of the system. In that, sanctification is a state of existence in us that once activated is an ongoing, daily happening, moment by moment. We all have been set apart to have a relationship with God. From this day forward, even into eternity, my beloved, may the state of sanctification be released in you. I have done as you have so ordained for me to do. From the very foundation of the world, you ordained such a time as this to speak rhema into the hearts and minds of your people. I pray tonight that we're beginning to see the essence and the power of your sovereignty. There is nothing more powerful than you. You answer to no man. You don't jump at attention. What you want us to do is to be sanctified, is to become doers of the word, not just hearers only. The more we do, the more you give yourself to us. The more you give yourself to us, the more we do. And in essence, it becomes a relationship, a release of your presence inside of us, moment by moment, day. May the hearers of this word tonight become a sanctified people. People seeking relationship, not playing games, not going to church. Truth be told, we're nothing more than body temples under construction. I'm glad you're not through with us yet. Oh, just a few more risings and settings of the sun. And in the midst of it all, you, in all your glory and all your splendor, in your sovereignty, we have been set apart to give you glory. We love you. We thank you for Hannah. We thank you for our Hannah moments. Thank you for sanctification. Thank you for sovereignty. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for everything. For it is in gratitude that we open up the ultimate, the absolute receivership, relationship, oneness that surpasses our understanding. Now to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly beyond all that we ask or imagine, according to the power that works in us, to him be the glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you so much for journeying with us tonight. We are thanking God for you in every way. It's just a wonderful opportunity to serve you, reminding you that we will do live streaming here at the church. No worship in building worship. We'll worship in the building on May 23rd. Once again, fourth Sunday in this month, we'll come back into the building for service. So this coming Sunday, we will be right here back with you again. And we are indeed grateful for the opportunity to be able to share with each of you in every way. Until we meet again, I give God glory and praise for you. Continue having your Hannah moments Until the next time, Godspeed.